The village of Moon Hill had long been infamous. It was surrounded by dense forests where, according to rumors, people sometimes vanished. The old-timers whispered that the place was cursed, but no one really knew why. The story of an ancient evil slumbering beneath the ground was passed down from generation to generation, growing less convincing over time. However, one family, seeking solitude, soon encountered something that made them believe the legends. John and Clara Cooper, along with their daughter Sarah, moved to Moon Hill in the fall. The house on the edge of the village had stood abandoned for years, but it was sturdy and spacious. They thought it was the perfect place to start a new life after the noise of the city. "The air here feels different," Clara said as she opened a window. "Clean, fresh." But from the very first day, they felt something strange. Sarah noticed that the old clock in the living room seemed to work, even though its batteries had long been removed. John dismissed it as mechanical inertia, but Clara felt a chill run down her spine. The nights in the house were especially unsettling. At first, there was a quiet creak of the floor, as if someone was stepping on it cautiously. Then came a whisper, like the wind, though the windows were shut. John tried to find the source of the sounds, but found nothing. One night, awakened by a strange noise, Sarah saw the doll on her shelf slowly turn its head. The girl screamed, and her parents rushed to her room. John examined the doll, but found nothing unusual. "It's just a dream," he said, trying to comfort her, but doubt lingered in his voice. In the following days, the oddities grew. Lights flickered, even when the electricity was fine. Mirrors reflected rooms slightly differently than they appeared. Objects disappeared and reappeared in other places. Clara found an old journal hidden in a cupboard. Its pages were covered with faded entries written in a shaky hand. The author wrote about strange noises and visions that tormented their family. The final entry read, "They came from beneath the ground. We woke them. God forgive us." Meanwhile, Sarah grew more distant. She spent long hours in her room, talking to someone invisible. When Clara asked who she was speaking with, the girl replied, "The man in the dark hat. He says he will free us all soon." John decided to dig under the house to figure out where the strange noises were coming from. He started in the basement and soon uncovered a hatch hidden beneath a thick layer of dirt. The hatch was locked with a rusty padlock. John grabbed a crowbar and broke it open. Beneath the hatch was an old ladder, leading into darkness. "You shouldn't go down there," Clara whispered, but John was determined. He lit a flashlight and began to descend. Below, he found an ancient tunnel, its walls covered in strange symbols. The air was heavy, smelling of damp and decay. Shreds of clothing and old bones littered the floor. At the end of the tunnel, John came across a massive door. It was carved with scenes of violence and suffering. When he touched the door, it creaked open on its own. Beyond it was a vast stone chamber lit by a faint red glow from an unknown source. In the center of the room stood an altar surrounded by human remains. The air was filled with whispers, growing louder and louder. John felt the ground tremble beneath his feet. Shadows burst forth from the altar and began rushing toward him, whispering his name. Barely making it back to the house, he told Clara what he had seen. She wanted to leave immediately, but it was already too late. That night the house came alive. The floors creaked, the walls shook, and grotesque silhouettes emerged from the mirrors. The family huddled together in the living room, trembling with fear. Sarah sat quietly, her eyes seeming foreign. "They're here," she whispered and smiled. The lights went out. In the darkness, footsteps echoed, followed by a chilling voice. "Huayla, you woke us. Now we are free." When morning came, the house was empty. Neighbors found its doors wide open, with chaos inside and dark stains on the floor. The Cooper family had vanished without a trace. People said the place became quiet again, but no one dared to move in. Moon Hill remained a grim mystery, and the ancient evil, awakened once, waited for new visitors.